Good afternoon, students. So, today we are going to start the new chapter of geography, that is natural vegetation and wildlife. That is totally based on your previous understanding of the last chapter, that was climate. I explained all the important aspects of climate chapter in detail so that you can correlate that knowledge with this chapter. Okay, so let's start with this chapter, which is very important and which is also very easy to understand if you have gone through properly the last chapter, climate. Okay, so here natural vegetation and wildlife. First of all, you have to understand this uh, phrase itself. Natural vegetation means that vegetation which is found at any place in any natural environment, means there is no role of human beings to grow that vegetation at that particular place, or it is not modified by human beings. Only nature is responsible to grow that vegetation. It may be virgin or it may be interrupted by human beings, but in the growth of that natural vegetation, human beings do not play any role. Only nature grows that particular species of vegetation in that particular region. So, every uh, vegetation does not found everywhere, means specific vegetations are found in some specific locations. So, before going there, we have to understand the important uh, aspects of natural vegetations which affect their distribution over the place. Okay, so first of all, some terms are given here. You can see in this paragraph that in your surroundings different types of vegetations you see. Some vegetations you see in the fields, in your school campus, in your home garden, but these vegetation are not natural vegetation. These are grown by human beings. But some vegetations you see in your surrounding, like some forests, those are not grown by human beings, these are grown by nature. So naturally they are found there. So that type of vegetation is called natural vegetation. So we have 12 mega biodiversity countries of the world. Our country is one of them, and more than 47,000 plant species are found in our country, and there are about 15,000 flowering plants in India, which account for 6% of the world's total number of flowering plants. So this is a kind of information which is important for objective type of questions. You can go through about that. And 90,000 species of animals are found there. So you have to understand one thing, that which type of vegetation occurs, the same dependency is followed by the animal life. The life of vegetation is called flora, means the varieties of vegetation are termed as flora, and the varieties of animal life is termed as fauna, flora and fauna. So different type of flora and different type of fauna are found in our country, and totally that constitute biodiversity. Biodiversity means, bio means life and diversity means a variety. So we have a different types of species which are found in our country, and they enrich our biodiversity. Different factors are there which affect the availability or existence of different types of flora and fauna. The number one is relief features which constitute land and soil, and number second climatic factors are there. Number that is temperature, photoperiod, precipitation, like that. So these are the two types of factors which affect the availability and distribution of flora as well as fauna. So you go through these uh, three pages first of all, then I will explain the other things in detail. Okay. So you remember that in the last chapter I explained that how climate is found differently in different regions. So relief features are the most important features which affect the distribution of the flora and fauna also. Means the mountains, the plateaus and the plains are the major type of lands which we have in our country, and different type of uh, uh, flora and fauna are found in these different landforms. Means soils have the plains have fertile soils which generally devote to agriculture, and mountains generally have the forests, and some plateaus also have some forests and grasslands. So these different types of lands affect the different types of flora and fauna, and these forests are the shelters of the wildlife because they live in the forests, and different vegetations are the homes of the animal life. Soil is another type of factor which affects the availability and type of vegetation. Like different types of soils provide basis for different types of vegetation. The sandy soil of the desert supports cactus and thorny bushes, while wet, marshy, swampy lands and deltaic regions also support mangrove deltaic vegetation. So, in hill slopes, you find less depth of the soil, and that experience the conical trees. In the same way, climate is also important. Temperature means if you go to the higher latitudes, lower temperatures are found. If you go to the um, lower latitudes, you find high temperatures near the equator and in torrid region. So temperature is important factor to affect the type of vegetation because it affects the precipitation. The rainfall is the major form of precipitation which affects the density of the vegetation. Means where the high rainfall we receive, definitely it provides the dense vegetation. Okay. So precipitation is higher, the amount of vegetation is also is higher, and vegetation is more quality and more variety and diversity of fauna is also found there. Different types of birds, animals, insects, rodents, and different types of earthworms we find in the forests. So temperature affects the precipitation, and precipitation leads to the variety of vegetation. Means less vegetation means there is uh, less rainfall, may be the reason behind that. Or where the high rainfall regions are there, definitely dense forests are found there. In the western sides of the western ghats, we have studied that high rainfall is received, that's why dense vegetation is found there. So there is a positive correlation between temperature, precipitation and vegetation and wildlife. So another table is also given there in temperature: tropical region, subtropical region, temperate region, alpine region, where different types of and different levels of temperatures are given in this table. You can see under the heading table number 5.1, temperature characteristics of the vegetation zones. Now photoperiod means the sunlight, how much time the surface is receiving the sunlight. The sunlight is main reason behind the processes that plants make their food. So more sunlight, more vegetation. Precipitation is also one of them. Precipitation I have explained earlier also with the temperature, that more precipitation means rainfall, high density of the vegetation, means monsoon type of forests are the very dense forests. In India, almost the entire rainfall is brought in monsoon season, and some areas of heavy rainfall have more dense vegetation as compared to areas of less rainfall. In the last chapter, we also studied this concept in the seasonal rainfall and the annual rainfall. So, the areas where the high distribution of rainfall is found, where the density of the forest is also very high, because rainfall is directly related to the growth of vegetation, and vegetation is the main source of the food for wildlife. So that's why more vegetation means more variety of wildlife is found there. So in this way you can understand this concept of temperature, precipitation and wildlife and vegetation. So in this way I have explained this one. So tomorrow I will explain types of vegetations which are found in our country. Thank you.